What is happening, everybody? MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video is a review of week 3 of the NFL season. We're going to look at all of my plays. We're going to look at all of my lines for this past week and do some in-depth analysis. And this is going to be a great educational handicapping video. You're going to get a lot of value, a lot of great teaching points. Before we do that, as always, if you've been watching this channel for a long time and you haven't subscribed, need you to subscribe to the channel. As you know, that helps me a lot. Appreciate that. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's MGCovers, covers spelled with the Z. Got a huge announcement. We're going to start my very first episode of my brand new podcast. So if you follow me on Instagram, all that's going to be announced and released this week. Podcast going to be completely different than the videos. I don't want to ruin the surprise. So follow me on Instagram. You'll see me announce that here in the next day or two. Hey, let's dive into it. Week 3. Is this week 3? Yeah, this was week 3 of the NFL season. So what you're looking at are my lines for NFL. You can see here the highlighted team is the favorite. So in this particular example, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, my line was -5. Sportsbook line, I think, was -4, so no value. Want to see about a 3-point differential between the sportsbook line and my line. So the very first game we're going to look at, let's take a look at this Buffalo-Miami game. Go back to my line. So Buffalo-Miami, we had this one at even via my power rankings, which means this is called a 50-50 game. Coin flip game, anybody can win it. So we didn't have some magic ball that, hey, Miami was going to win this game. We're just playing the percentages here. And when you look at the line movement, this is very important. And just a quick summary of sharp movement. Sharp movement is late and it's subtle. You can see here this game went off at 1, so this was fairly late, 10:41. Usually you see it a lot closer to kickoff, maybe an hour before, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour. In this case, it was at 10:41. Line bumps from 4.5 down to 4, real subtle, and it's relatively late. Buffalo was getting, so that line movement favors Miami. Let's say that real quick. And Buffalo was getting 51% of the ticket count. I consider a public team to get 53% of the tickets. So neither team was a public team. So this was what I call, neither team was public. So you could have made a case for either side depending on what your model said. Obviously, my model had this game at even. So therefore, we know that when a team in the NFL, if they win, there's a strong chance that they're also, if they cover, there's a strong chance they're also going to win outright. So we played this one on the money line. I think we got +175. All right, so let's dive into the next one. Again, this is very important. My line with New Orleans, Carolina. Let's go back here. We had New Orleans -7.5 or 7.7. And check this out. You can see here Carolina was the public team, but you had line movement that actually favored Carolina there late. It went from 2.5 down to 2. So that was something that was going against us. And again, this is very important when you're handicapping. It's impossible to predict these games. People say, oh, we knew Carolina was going to win. We knew Miami was going to win. Listen, nobody knows who's going to win these games. Our goal, our objective as a handicapper, to take all the information we have, and we want to make good decisions. So the reason I passed on this basically was that late movement in favor of Carolina. This line bumps from 2.5 down to 2. So why would you play a game where you have something going against you and you can wait and have a game where everything lines up in your favor like this one? We had Miami favored, line moves in our favor. Neither team was public, so we played it. Whereas this particular game, you can see the line moving in favor of Carolina, so we passed. Okay. Next one, Detroit, Minnesota. Interesting game. Detroit dominated that one. And check this out. My power rankings had this one at even. So this was basically a 50-50 game as well. Very similar to Buffalo, Miami. You take a look at the line movement. Again, same type deal. You can see here late, an hour before kickoff, hour and a half, I guess. No, that was 12:18. So 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Line moves from 6 to 6.5 in favor of Minnesota. And we had Detroit as the public team, so it ended up passing on this one. However, power rankings were legit there. Detroit basically probably should have won that game, but covered via our line. So again, we want to make sure, going back to that Miami game, that we're being very discreet with your handicapping, only playing games where everything lines up. Next one, KC and Indianapolis. This is pretty self-explanatory. We had KC minus 11 over Indianapolis. But when you look here at the line, Kansas City, heavy public team. I think at some books this line moved. Okay, yeah, you can see it here. Line went from 5 down to 4.5 in favor of Indianapolis. KC, public team, so that's definitely a pass. And, of course, Indianapolis won that one. So very smart decision on no play. And also, too, in handicapping, there's a if you follow this channel or followed me for a long time, I love this line by Warren Buffett. He says, in order to make money, you first have to learn how not to lose money. And I think that's so applicable to sports betting, because we all think about, hey, we need to earn units, we need to make money, but you also need to learn what a very good no play is. And this is a great example, because you can see your power rankings here. We have Kansas City as the favorite, but based on what we know about line movement, public and non-public teams, this would be a no play, and a very excellent no play. Vegas and Tennessee. Let's take a look. My line was, I think we got to go over here to this side. Yeah, we had Tennessee as the favorite, -3. And Sportsbook line had this one at Tennessee +2. So this particular example, we had a 5-point differential in our favor. You can see Vegas was the public team here. So this one we actually played as well. Again, +2. You don't want to take the points there. The most probable outcome is going to be a team winning by 3. Next most popular number is the 7. So the 2 points does not help you here. So we're able to play this on the money line. I got it at +115. Quick teaching point. We'll go back to this Arkansas game over the weekend. Again, in sports handicapping, there are exceptions to the rule and everything. Everything is an exception. There's always exception. Arkansas was +2, but I was going to play them on the money line, but the money line I could only get for +100. So in this particular case, I played Arkansas at +2 because I could get +2 for -110. So again, forget sports handicapping for just a second and think about from a business perspective. I'm getting 2 extra points for 10 cents. So in that case, it's worth it because the +100 doesn't really help me at all. And that actually saved me in that particular game because Arkansas lost by 2. The reason I played Tennessee here money line, I was able to get +115. But let's say I wasn't able to get +115. Let's say the line was +100. Yes, I would have played +2 at -105 or -110 when I was at whatever I was able to get. Tennessee was a winner, and that was definitely a real solid play there. Houston, Chicago. Let's look at my line here. We had, is this one over here? Did I pass it? Okay, there we go. Houston was -3 here, 2.9. So this game was Houston +3. So we had a 6-point differential. You can see here Houston was heavy public team, so we passed. And Chicago ended up winning that by 3. So that ended up being a push and a good no play because I would have played that Houston on the money line. And the big game here, Jacksonville and the Chargers. You can take a look at my line. This is funny. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know about this. I had I blocked somebody last week. Jacksonville, via my power rankings, were the number 3 team in all of NFL. And that sounds weird to say, right? But again, what the whole reason for having a stat model, what you see here, it is a statistically driven model, which means I don't sit down and say, well, I think this team's better than this team. No, this is 100% statistically driven, absent of any bias. And the reason that's important, the sportsbook line has bias factored into it. They have to base that line based on the public's perception of that team. Chargers are perceived to be the better team than Jacksonville. And you also saw something in the line movement, which I'm going to explain now. This is what we call a public line move. If you remember early when I'm talking about sharp movement is subtle and it's late, meaning the line move, say, from 2.5 down to 2, or it might move from -3 to -3.5. It moves late. A public line move is when the general public knows why the line is moving. They announced Herbert was going to start for for the Chargers. This line went from 3 all the way up to closing at 6.5. Never, ever, ever play a public line move. You just don't play it. And I know it seems like you should, but this is a very important point to make. I'm going to link a video. I don't want to get too in depth and get away from the subject of this video, but you never play a public line move. It seems logical. Hey, if they announce he's going to play, we should play the Chargers, but it just doesn't work that way in sports handicapping. When you watch this video, I'm going to link at the end, you'll see several examples. I know it sounds weird to go the opposite way, but that's the correct play in sports handicapping. And the big reason, if this line's moving from 3 all the way to 6, so there's no value at 6.5, right? So where's the value? The value is on the opposite side. So anytime you see a public line move, again, just to recap, a public line move is when everybody knows why the line is moving. And this is important too. I think this was during NBA season, I saw a bookmaker say, listen to this, very important. When you see this line move, you say, oh, a lot of money's going on the Chargers. That's not the case. He even commented that he said, we're moving the line in anticipation of people overreacting. I think it was Embiid for the Sixers who was out. So he's basically telling you it's a ghost move, meaning there's no money coming in. There's a little bit, but not enough to justify the line. The reason they're moving the line is they're anticipating that you're going to overreact to him being absent. Does that make sense? So this is a public line move. You don't ever pay public line moves. And look what happened. Jacksonville absolutely slaughtered the Chargers. And you can see my line was pretty accurate there, or more accurate than the book's line, which is what we're looking for. Where are we at? Okay, San Francisco, Denver. Great example of reverse line movement. My power rankings had San Francisco -4, small favorite there. And check out this line movement here. You had 66% of the general public on San Francisco. Look what happens late, y'all. Line kind of bounced around here a little bit, and then the last move there was down to +1. But the big thing is it was a public team. We don't play public teams. Denver ends up winning that one late. So that was an excellent no play. And then rounding this out, these are my first cut plays, what I sent clients, and then, of course, what we actually played. Played Miami and Tennessee. Solid day, cashed both of those dogs. So sort of recap this. Again, it's impossible to predict outcomes of the game. What we want to do, we have a model, which you see here. This is the objective side. Then we have the subjective side, where we're looking at things like form, we're looking at injuries, we're looking at line movement, we're looking at public, non-public teams. We put all that together to make good decisions. If you make enough good decisions in this business, you'll be profitable. Maybe not on the short term, but on the long term. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you want access to these power rankings, this will come out tomorrow morning. Our college football power rankings are already out. It's $49.95 per month. In addition to that, you get access to all of our coaching videos. We've made 2 coaching videos on NFL and college football. Very educational the last 2 weeks. Got a ton of feedback from clients on those. So you get access to all my coaching videos as well. If you want access to everything I just mentioned, in addition to all my plays, $100 a month, and the best value is signing up for an entire year. You get access to everything on the site for $4.99. You save about $600 paying all that in full. There's a link to join in the description box. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.